Chodesh Tov, everybody. So Baruch Hashem, we started the month very well. We had the Rosh Chodesh on Shabbat, and now we're going from Shabbat into the second day of Rosh Chodesh, the official Rosh Chodesh Aleph of Elul. And we learned in the morning what a auspicious day this is. Rosh Chodesh, to start with, is a very powerful day, but Rosh Chodesh Elul is so much more so. Yesterday I was explaining different great sages what they had to say about when Rosh Chodesh falls on Shabbat and Parashat Re'eh. We were quoting the Jose from Lublin and Rabbi Menachem Mendel from Vitebsk, different things that they say about the greatness of the day. The Ari HaKadosh, who says that on Rosh Chodesh Elul the gates of Tshuva open. And this is what we want to concentrate on today. So we know all the famous slogans of Elul, that Elul is the acronym of Ani Ledodi Vedodi Li, I'm for my beloved for me. So that, as they say, it's old news. We know that. We know that now Hashem is accessible. The question is, what do you do with that? From my experience, me and most people don't really take value to the time, and you find yourself 3 days before Rosh Hashanah realizing that, oh my gosh, I wasted the 30 days of Elul that I had the opportunity. I didn't do anything in my tshuva, and now I have 3 days. So the chokhmah here, and every year it's a broken record. Next year I will take advantage of Elul. I mean, I can tell you that only on myself, and I also know a few other individuals, but for many years, every year was a broken record. Rosh Chodesh Elul comes, everybody gets excited, and then the times pass because you're busy and you don't even notice, and then 3 days before Rosh Hashanah and you didn't do nothing in Elul. And every year I would tell myself like a broken record, okay, next year Elul is going to be different. Elul is, I am going to take every moment to consideration. So we don't want to do another broken record. So we want now, on this auspicious day, on Aleph Elul, that we have 30 full days to really take advantage of the opportunity that we have. So very quickly to analyze what's going on is, in the physical world, we all work for a living, and we have a partner that we didn't really ask him to be a partner, but he's a partner, and this partner is called the IRS. Doesn't matter which country you live in. I don't know any country in this planet that doesn't have an IRS in their country. So you work hard, and then you have to pay a very large amount of taxes, unless you somehow get a very good Jewish accountant and he somehow flips it over and you get somehow money back. But nevertheless, that not always works. So when you calculate your year of taxes, comes the last month of the year, or a month after the end of the cycle of the calendar, and you take all your expenses, all your earnings, and usually it's easier to give to the accountant, and you come with an amount of income, an amount of expenses, and how much taxes you need to pay. So nothing is different in the spiritual world. Just that the taxes are done at December 31st, and our taxes is done on Elul 1st. And this is the time where you sit down on your taxes. What did I do the entire year? What income did I get? And what did not do the entire year? What are the expenses? Now, how much tax do I have to pay? Now, the question is, do you want to pay tax or do you want to get a return? So we want to get a return, not to pay taxes. And to put all jokes aside, we just spent 11 months of the year Tafshin Ayin Tet. I'm sure everybody was busy with very good things. We're all busy with good things, gathering mitzvot, gathering good deeds. But on the other hand, there's also the averot and the sins that we also gathered with us. And not only that, the mitzvot that we didn't do. This is category A. Then you have another category, is how much did I grow spiritually in this year? Am I in the same exact place now where I was 11 months ago? Maybe yes, maybe no. Now my spiritual growth is not measured by how black my suit is and how big my yarmulke is. Is how did I able to achieve my goals and to refine myself to be in a much higher spiritual level. What I need to do right now is I need to do an account for the entire year. What did I do and what did I didn't do? And in the didn't do, that is broken into another two categories. What didn't I do in regards to mitzvot, which in that comes of course also what sins did I do. And the next category in what didn't I do is what didn't I do to grow spiritually. Now a lot of people think that being observant is just to put tefillin on and say Birkat Hamazon and observe Shabbat and do the mitzvot. That's very important. But the dominating part of my spiritual growth, the main part of my spiritual growth, is how much was I able to refine my character. How much I was able to letaken et midot, to refine my midot. When I want to measure my success and how much closer I'm getting to Hashem, is how am I refining myself. Not how many mitzvot I did. The mitzvah I have to do whether I like it or not, and the sin I'm not allowed to do whether I like it or not. I like looking at it that the mitzvot and the Torah that I learn is food and air to my soul. That's it. We learned here last year, if you remember, some of you were here, we learned from a book called Sha'arei Kedusha, Gates of Holiness, written by Rabbi Chaim Vital, who was the dominating student of the Ari HaKadosh, Rabbi Yitzchak Luria. And this is a very small book, very, very thin. And really this book is a manual how to reach to Ruach HaKodesh. That's what the book is about. That's what he wrote. That's why it's called Sha'arei Kedusha. If you want to reach to a level of Ruach HaKodesh, of divine inspiration, this book tells you how to do it. How many people were successful? Maybe 3 or 4, maybe more. I don't know. I didn't make a survey. But this is a practical guide how to reach to Ruach HaKodesh. And I do believe that if you follow everything that he says there, you will reach to a level of Ruach HaKodesh. I don't know to what level of Ruach HaKodesh, but to some extent. But nevertheless, the reason why I'm mentioning this book is because he says in the beginning of the book, in the Akdama, in the introduction, that the Torah and the mitzvot are very important to do. But nevertheless, that's not the purpose why we came to this world. The purpose why we came to this world is to refine our midot, tikkun midot. And the performance, so to say, of the Torah and the mitzvot is just assisting me to get to the point that I will be able to refine my midot. And the way it works is that we always have a few good midot and a few bad midot. Shlomo HaMelech says, "Ze l'umat ze bara Elokim." Everything that Hashem created, He created with a mirror. There's always a positive, a good side, and there's always a negative side. So same thing with the midot. On the negative side of the midot, there's always going to be a long list of bad midot: anger, jealousy, impatience, and so forth. And the way it works in a hierarchy of a pyramid. The worst of all the midot is the midah that is called geava, pride. And if a person his ego, his pride was hurt, right away it will birth two midot. A midah is a characteristic, an attribute. And it will right away birth anger and sadness. These are the first two midot that will be developed. And after that, if it's continuing to develop, then it will start developing hate and impatience and jealousy and so forth. That's on the negative side. On the positive side, the highest of all midot is the midat Anava, the being humble. Like Moshe Rabbeinu, Haish haya anav mikol. Moshe Rabbeinu reached to the highest level of Anava. Therefore, he was able to reach to the highest level of prophecy. Haish haya anav mikol. Not that he was a nebech. Moshe Rabbeinu knew exactly who he was. When he looked in the mirror, he knew he's Moshe Rabbeinu. He knew he's the one who talks to the Kadosh Baruch Hu face to face. He knew it. But it didn't give him any type of ego. Since his midat Anava was so refined, then he was able to reach to a level of prophecy that no prophet ever reached by talking to Hashem face to face. And needless to say, when you apply midat Anava, then it will start birthing more positive midot. Kindness, patience, charitable, thoughtful, and many others. So Rabbi Chaim Vital says in the book Sha'arei Kedusha that the Torah and the mitzvot is just the tools for us to to perform in this world. But really my Avodat Hashem, the purpose of my creation, is how do I refine my midot. So going back to the purpose, to the time of tshuva, when I need to look what I did or what I didn't do, is not only in regards to sins and mitzvot. That's basic. There's nothing much to think about. You either do the mitzvah or you don't. Either you did the avera or you didn't. But the next level of analysis of my tshuva is, am I in the same place where I was last year, or I'm in a much higher level? Or chas v'shalom, worse. It doesn't mean that I always go up. I can also go down. So now comes the first day of the month of Elul. Then I have to sit with my spiritual accountant and say, okay, how is my portfolio looking? How is my book, does it look? How much mitzvot I did, how much mitzvot I didn't do? How many sins I did, how many sins I didn't do? You also get a lot of credit for sins that you didn't do, by the way. Not only for mitzvot that you did. It says in the Talmud, Yashav velo asa klum. You sat and didn't do nothing, then you didn't do any avarot. Just sit, don't do nothing. You know, when I became observant, it was very hard for me to observe Shabbat. So I would just sit and do nothing. Just don't do anything. I would sleep for 14 hours. Why? Because for 14 hours I observed Shabbat. And no damages. And I would just sit. I didn't know what to do, what not to do. So, same thing here. You get credit for not doing sins. Can you imagine how many times a day you fail in basic things and also in severe things? Pay attention how many times you were about to sin and you hold yourself. And I always look at it, one can be very hard on themselves. Oh, I sin a lot, I talk a lot of Lashon Hara, I'm very judgmental, I'm very impatient, and so forth. I like looking at it like, okay, you're right, I also talk Lashon Hara, I also am impatient, I also lose my temper, I also do a lot of things, but how many times I didn't? So maybe I failed 90 times, but twice I was able to succeed. Okay, so take that as credit. Because Hashem doesn't have expectations that I'm going to be 100%. So what we want to focus on today is as follows, just to get straight to the point so we can do what we say, tachlis. Straight out to the point. Just to talk is cheap, as they say in America. The Americans didn't invent that. It's our sages that invented that by saying "Hama'aseh hu ha'ikar." The action is the main part. Talking is bemet cheap. So we have now 30 days countdown, and in this 30 days, I have a few unbelievable opportunities. The first opportunity that is most important, that anything that I didn't do in the last 11 months, or everything that I did that was negative, can be reversed in 1 month. So 11 months of negligence or sins or whatever you want to call it can be retroactively reversed in 1 month. More than that, everything that I messed up in this month, I can also do tshuva. And more than that, what I didn't achieve the whole year, I can also achieve in this month. So what do I want to take from that? I want to take from that 30 precious days. And every day has to be focused on something. What am I doing in these 30 days? Because it's much easier to spread the job on 30 days than on doing it on 2 days. Most people, like I said before, they waste Elul, then comes Rosh Hashanah, and you know when they do tshuva, in Aseret Yemei Tshuva. That's when they really wake up. But they only have 7 days to do tshuva, and that's already after Rosh Hashanah. You want to come to Rosh Hashanah already clean, ready, you did your tshuva, you're ready to come and stand in front of the Kadosh Baruch Hu. And not only because you want to be forgiven and all the cliches, because you want the next year to be a successful year. You want the next year to run smooth, with not so much challenges, with not so much difficulties. Challenges, we're always going to have. And by the way, on Rosh Hashanah, they decide what are going to be your challenges. So you can have big challenges or small challenges. Challenges you'll have to have. Don't think you're going to get rid of it. Challenges is the exercising tool. You need a challenge. The way to understand it is if you go now to a gym and you want to get in shape, if you just sit on like this on the couch, on the bench, nothing's going to happen. And even if you move your hands, nothing's going to happen because you need resistance. If I'm going to lie down on a bench and go like this, I can guarantee to you nothing's going to happen. I need resistance in order to start developing the muscle. So maybe the resistance is 20 kilos or 50 kilos or 100 kilos, but the challenges in my life is the resistance so I can start developing my spiritual growth. So don't try to get away from your challenges. Needless to say, we also pray in the morning, Ve'al teviyeni lidei nisayon. We pray to Hashem, give me minimal challenges. I don't need big ones. The minimum. But on Rosh Hashanah is decided what's going to be your challenges. If it's going to be for $100,000 or $1,000. If it's going to be for 10 visits to the doctor or 1 phone call to the doctor, whatever it is. But nevertheless, whatever I prepare in the month of Elul is how the next year will be. How much bracha am I going to get? So when I'm looking at these 30 days, I need to prepare the right way. And to prepare the right way is to take every day to achieve one thing. Before I was talking about, in the previous class, about the teachings of the Arizal in the book called Gates of Reincarnation. I was explaining in the morning that our soul is built from 5 different levels, but the lowest of all, that is called Nefesh, that's the main component of our soul that we need to do a tikkun with. And the Nefesh has to grow and climb up 50 levels in order to be refined. And what happens is that you can grow, and then fall down, and grow and fall down till you're able to refine the Nefesh. The problem is that most people are not able to do it in one lifetime. They have to come back here again and again and again and again. We only know about 2 souls that were able to reach all their tikkun in one incarnation, which is David HaMelech and the prophet Daniel. These are the 2 individuals that we know of, based on books, that they were able to do their entire tikkun in one lifetime. They didn't have to come here in Gilgulim. But nevertheless, in the Gates of Reincarnation, the Ari explains that the original neshama is Adam HaRishon, and when Adam HaRishon sinned, then all the soul of Adam HaRishon, so to say, got separated into many, many different souls, and all the souls have to come back here over and over in tikkunim to rectify the sin that Adam HaRishon did. He's explaining there's something very, very deep, that the reason why it's coming in so many Gilgulim, because if you take now 50 boxes and you want to move them from point A to point B, it's almost impossible. Unless you have a forklift that will come underneath the boxes and on a pallet and lift up the whole thing and take it. But if you have to do it yourself, it's almost impossible. So how would you do it? You take one box, you go to the destination, you go back, you take another box, you go to the destination. So it's much easier to move these boxes from one point to another point. If you try to take 3 at a time, 3 weeks ago was my son's bar mitzvah, so we had the party down the hill here. So we had all the alcohol delivered to the hall. Now, a lot of alcohol stayed, a lot of juices stayed, a lot of stuff stayed. So I had to bring it back on Friday here. So I thought, no problem, I'll go there myself, and I'll take a few boxes, and I'll carry it up here. So I went, and the first round I was very brave. I took 3 boxes, one on top of the other, carrying it like that. It was only 152 stairs to climb. By the time I came home, I was on the couch, and my wife was like, what's going on? What happened? I was like, no, I had to take all the boxes from down there. She was like, maybe next time take 1 box. I was like, if I'm going to take 1 box, it will take me maybe call someone. At the end, I did call my father, and he came with the car around. But the point is that I tried in the beginning to take 3 boxes, and I tired me out. And I had to, I'm going to have to take 1 box at a time. That will take a long time. So the solution is call somebody. But in practical world, I have to do now a tikkun for a whole year. Maybe even for much more than that. But let's concentrate. Let's not put too much on the palette. I have to do 11 months of a tikkun. So you want to do it in 3 days, or you want to do it in 30 days? 30 days is spreading it out. It's much, much easier. Besides the fact that I'm telling you from my own experience, and I'm sure you all will agree with me, very few people really take those 30 days and they take advantage. I'll start tomorrow. Most people wake up, like I told you before, 3 days before Rosh Hashanah or 3 days after Rosh Hashanah. Since we want this year to be the year that we're saying this year, I'm really going to do it. First of all, the time is very urgent to do it. And I told you that so many times, that we're finishing this year, the 70s. We're finishing Tafshin Ayin. We're going into Tafshin Pei. We're starting a whole new letter. We're going into the 80s. So not that we're going to start listening to Sidney Lauper, but rather we're going into the 80s to the, some people don't understand what I'm saying. Who? Okay, Duran, whatever it is. But nevertheless, we're going into the Pays. But nevertheless, in Tehillim, so it says the days of our life are 70 years, but in Gvurot 80 shana. And if it goes to the 80s, it's the time of Gvurot. So we're going into now a decade of Gvurot, of judgment, of Din, severe Din. And we got to make sure that, I thought maybe we can knock it out in the 70s and prepare the world for Mashiach without the Gvurot. But now we're going into the 80s. This just comes to alert us how much we have to sweeten the judgments, this Rosh Hashanah. Because we're going into a decade, not a year, a decade of Gvurot. So everything will be with severe Din, which in one way is better. Finish with it. No schmoozing. You finish with it right on the spot. But nevertheless, this is the opportunity to sweeten the Din. So we have a very powerful month that we need to really pay attention. Now I like talking practical, not to talk. We can talk here another 2 hours. That we did throughout the meal. Now we need tachlis. I find that in my tshuva process, the only time that I was successful if it was a plan. When I became observant, we spoke about yesterday in the Shabbat meal, I went to 4 different yeshivot. And every yeshiva was from a different group. I went to a Sephardi yeshiva, to a Breslov yeshiva, to a Chabad yeshiva, to a Bala Sulam yeshiva. I went to 4 different yeshivot and took from everyone something. Everyone has something amazing to offer. They all have beautiful literature, beautiful dynasty, amazing teaching. But they all failed to teach me one thing, and that's how to do tshuva. Nobody taught me how to do tshuva. They taught me how to learn Gemara. They taught me how to open Shulchan Aruch. They taught me history. They taught me many things. But nobody taught me how to do tshuva. Sit down and do tshuva. There's no guide, the tshuva for dummies. There's nothing to do, there's nothing out there that comes and tells you, oh, you want to do tshuva, so you decided to come to the point to do tshuva. Let me tell you what you need to do. So I had to develop my own systems how to do tshuva. And unfortunately, there's nothing really out there. And I know many other yeshivot, great yeshivot, they will teach you beautiful Torah, but not practical steps how you do tshuva. So now we have 30 days to do tshuva. So how do you do tshuva? So in my process of my own tshuva, I had to develop systems. Because if you don't develop a system, then you're never going to be able to achieve anything. And even if you just have a goal, but you don't have a system how to get to the goal, then that goal can take years to get to it. If you have a certain system, and you go through the system, stages, then you're able to reach to the goal. So well, we have a goal to do tshuva. And the tshuva is not so simple. Because the tshuva is not for the sins only for the sins that I did. That's one thing. I have to know which sins I did. Do you know which sins you did the last 11 months? I don't even remember what I ate 3 days ago. How can I remember what I did 4 months ago? You remember what sins you did in Kislev? How would you remember such a thing? Yeah, unless you write a journal. Now, if you're smart, you've been saying Kriyat Shema al Amita every night. And if you're smart, you've been saying Vidui every day when you pray Shacharit, Mincha, and Kriyat Shema. And if you're smart, you already did tshuva then, so now there's not much to do. But how many people are really on top of the game that they do Kriyat Shema L'Amita with serious tshuva and vidui every night? Very few people. And even if you still did that, who guarantees to you that you really did tshuva for everything? Now again, the tshuva is not only for sins that I didn't do. The tshuva has to be for mitzvot that I didn't do. How many resolutions you had last year? Oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and you did 1% of it. Not because you're mean or you're bad or you're incapable. Because that's nature of human. This is the way of life. And I can say that from my own experience. How many resolutions I make? If I make 100 resolutions, if 2 of them I actually do, it's a miracle. The point is that I have to do tshuva also for what I didn't do. Then a big part of my tshuva is not only between me and another person, it's between me and the Kadosh Baruch Hu. How many promises I said to the Kadosh Baruch Hu? How many praise and conditions I made with the Kadosh Baruch Hu? Hashem, if you help me with this, I'll do this and that. And then Hashem helped you with this, and you didn't fulfill the condition. Besides the fact that I look at my process of tshuva, not only how many sins I did or how many mitzvot I did, is exactly what I told you before, how much I refine myself. Am I in a different place now than when I was 11 months ago? And if not, then the best situation is bad. If I didn't work on my midot, if I still am impatient, if I'm still judgmental, if I'm still depressed and sad and angry, and I can't control my anger or whatever it is, then what progress did I do here? You think I'm impressing Hashem because I did 3.5 mitzvot? Hashem says, I don't care about your mitzvot. I want to see that you are refining yourself. How much did you grow in the last year or in the last decade? That's also a big part of my tshuva. So to make the process practical, has to be a system. What we're going to do now, Be'ezrat Hashem, in the next 30 days, is every day we'll have a short class. I think we'll do it between Mincha and Arvit, like we did a few months ago in Sfirat HaOmer. We did the class the day before the Sfirah, if you remember. So if the Sfirah was Gvura Shebagvura, then the day before that we had the class about Gvura Shebagvura, so I know what to focus on the same day. And we went through that 49 classes, if you remember. Some of you were very, how do you say? Attentive. Came to every class. And on Friday, we did, Thursday we did 2 classes, because Friday wasn't a class. But nevertheless, I do know, I can say for myself and many others, that these classes were practical and really you got something out of Sfirat HaOmer. So we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to apply now 30 days that we're going to take 5 minutes between Mincha and Arvit before the class to see what is the task of the day. Because if I try to get too many things in one shot, I don't get nothing. Our sages say, tafasta merube, lo tafasta. You try to grab too many things at the same time, you don't grab anything. Like, you know, sometimes you see people go to the supermarket, they don't want to take a cart. So they start, you know, that's me usually. Usually I go, I'm like, I don't need a cart. Suddenly in aisle 3, I'm already like, you know, trying to, and then everything falls. Exactly. This is tafasta merube lo tafasta. You try to grab too many things in one shot, everything falls. Same thing here. Don't think you can do your tshuva in 3 days. The tshuva is a long process. So the first and most important part that we need to do, especially today, before the day is over, because today, if you remember in the morning, I told you, we were learning from the book Dushat Levi Yitzchak, from the famous Rabbi Yitzchak from Levi Yitzchak from Bardicho, and he says there that today what happens is the Kadosh Baruch Hu reveals himself to the universe, reveals his essence, his majesty, his glory. Kadosh Baruch Hu reveals himself. He makes himself accessible to us. What does it really mean? It means that it's much easier to be attached to the Kadosh Baruch Hu. If I wouldn't have a Yetzer Hara, if I wouldn't have desires, if I wouldn't have all these lusts that I have in this world, then by default I will be close to Hashem. The Neshama wants to be close to Hashem. The Neshama has no desire to have a cookie. And the Neshama has no desire to sleep or to eat or to procreate. The Neshama just wants to be attached to Hashem. But since we are divided with so many masachim, so many screens and dividers, then it's hard for me to want to be close to Hashem. Today, the Kadosh Baruch Hu says, I am here, accessible to everybody. Anyone who wants, just come and take. I told you already before, it's already becoming a bad joke, but somebody sent me an email before Shabbat, and I was laughing because it was a coupon. And it was a coupon for Labor Day weekend. And I told my wife, if you need to shop in this store, somebody sent me now a coupon for Labor Day. Now, I'm the Israeli, my wife is the American, and she asked me, what is Labor Day? What is this invention? I said, well, it's just another day to make shopping. I don't know, maybe, you know, in America they have some weird habits that every time there's a holiday, they give out sales. You know, I lived in America 18 years. I couldn't figure out why every time there's a holiday, they give a sale. Veteran Day, 80% off. Memorial Day, shop all you can. 4th of July, buy one, get the other one free. So I told my wife, oh, same thing Labor Day. No, yalla, no. But put two things in the cart, not one. But I was laughing because I told her, see, we also have a Labor Day. We have Aleph Elul. The Kadosh Baruch Hu gives us a 99% coupon. Here, you get it for free now, almost for free. You don't have to work hard. So we have to take advantage of the fact that the king is in the field. The Kadosh Baruch Hu is very easy to access. I always compare it, lehavdil elef avdalot, not to even compare it, but to make some type of a comparison. When the presidents are running to their campaigns and they're in the streets, they shake everybody's hands, you take selfies with them, they walk in the streets, they want your vote. The second that they get elected, now let's see you getting a selfie with the president or telling him anything. So now that during the campaign, they're in the streets, they're shaking everybody's hands. Lehavdil, not to even compare, but the Kadosh Baruch Hu now is out in the streets. Now it doesn't mean that I'm going to take a selfie with Hashem. It just means that it's much easier to get closer to Hashem. Whatever was hard for me to achieve throughout the last year, now will be much easier to achieve. So I like calling it a coupon. It's much, much easier. So I need to make a plan what I need to do for the next 30 days. Now, my kids always, when we do something, they ask me, what is the whole plan? And I tell them, I will tell you the plan as we go. You're here operating on a need-to-know base. You don't need to know all the details right now. If I'll tell you all the details, you'll be confused. Same thing right now. Same thing right now. We don't need the details right now. It's irrelevant, the details. Because if now we're going to start taking details, you're going to be busy writing details, you're not going to achieve anything. The only thing that is required from you to do today, by the end of the day, if you're smart, then you can take my advice. Doesn't mean if you don't take the advice, you're not smart. I'm just saying, if you want to listen to what I say, you take this advice, and you take a piece of paper. It can be in half an hour, in an hour, in 3 hours when you get home, but do it before the end of the day. And you want to make a tshuva wish list. And the tshuva wish list is very simple. You write on one side all the good things that you know that you do and you did throughout the year. I attend a minyan, I go regularly to a class, I say Birkat Hamazon once a week, I observe Shabbat, I dress modest, whatever it is. You put a column of all the good things that you do and you know that you're doing and you did it throughout the year with no problem. Then you make another column and you write all the good things that you want to do, but you don't seem to get it together. I want to make it to the minyan every day, but I can't seem to make it. I want to sit and learn my certain daily learning, but for some reason, every third day, I'm missing. I want to do this and I want to do that. And usually, what I'm telling you now, I'm not telling you now to write every little thing. I'm telling you mainly when it comes to Torah and mitzvot. Then you go to another column and you write all the bad things that you know that you're doing on a regular basis. I speak Lashon Hara. I'm very judgmental. I'm very impatient. I don't do this. I don't say Kriyat Shema. I don't pray really with a minyan. I don't do this. But you have to be honest. Doing tshuvas, you have to be honest. That you write down all the bad things that you do on a regular basis that you're aware of and you want to change. And then you write yourself another column of all the bad things that you really need to get rid of, that you know that are really bad in your life right now. I'm talking right now about sins from the Torah. And then the most important column, and you can divide it into two columns. You don't have to write now. You can see the rerun, and that's, I think, the easiest. And the most important column is you write the two columns of your midot. And on one side, you write all your good midot. And of course, there's no question here that you have to be honest with yourself. You don't have to show anybody these notes. And on the right side, you write your good midot. I'm very patient. I'm very charitable. I'm not judgmental. I try to be helpful. Whatever. You write whatever is applying to you. And on the other side, you write all the midot that you know that are bad. I am impatient. I lose my anger very quick. I'm very judgmental. I'm very jealous. I'm quick to get angry. Whatever it is. The point to take from that is that you want to make an analysis. Where are you holding? Before you start even. Because to do tshuva, I need to know, what do I need to do tshuva from? If I know that I made a resolution last year to make sure that I pray in a minyan, and I'm on my second column, I see that I didn't make it to the minyan half the time, okay, this is what I need to work on. Doesn't mean I'm a bad person. It just means that's what I need to work on. And if I go to the right column and I see all the good things that I do, good. So I know where is my strong part. My strong part is to say Birkat Hamazon every day, say Kriyat Shema every day, to learn 3 hours a day Torah. But I need some type of an analysis. If you don't have it in front of you, it's very hard to know where you're holding. If you come ever to my office, you'll see that on my desk there's a lot of notes. I always work with notes because it's easy to make check. I did that. And it's very easy when things are in front of you. You know, in the Israeli army, when I came to America, I was right after the army. And no offense to the Americans, but when I came to the America and I looked at the Americans, the men, I was like, these are like little boys. I was 22, 23. I was already, went through what I went through. And I looked at the American males, and again, I'm not saying it to chas v'shalom insult anybody, but they were immature, soft, whatever. When I was 18, I had bullets flying over my head, and they have beers in college. And again, it's not about insulting anybody. Why am I saying that? Because, a lot of people are very against the army. The army, I give most of my credit to the army because it shapes you. It makes you a man. Or a woman. The women also go to the army, but it gives you practical tools, how to deal with pressure, how to deal with situation, how to share a tent. I lived in a tent for 1.5 years. Now I think the soldiers are very spoiled. They're in rooms, air conditioning. My nephew is in the paratroopers. He told me he's in a room. A room? I was sleeping on the floor every time it was raining. We were, going rafting from side to side. I mean, we had it pretty harsh. You know what it is to live in a tent with another 30 men? That's you learn life skills to be considerate, to be patient, you don't have to be in yeshiva. Even the army can. Nevertheless, the point is that one big thing that I got a lot of the army is see the big picture. You can't see things if you only focus on one little thing. You're never going to see the big picture. And even in tshuva, you need the big picture. So in order for me to do tshuva, I need the big picture. And the big picture is this paper with a few columns. You can write it however you want. I write it with columns. Right column is all the good things that I do on a regular basis. Good things in regards to Torah and mitzvot. The next column is all the good things that I would want to do and I fail to do. And again, good things, not because I give now food to a cat in the street. I'm talking about mitzvot and good deeds. And then of course the sins that I do on a regular basis. And then the sins that I need to really take control over. And a person can have a nice long beard and a beautiful black jacket and do many good things, but talk lashon hara all day long. And one should not give a discount for that. So what if you do a lot of mitzvot? Who gives you the permission to talk lashon hara all day long? Or whatever it is. I'm just giving one example out of many. But the most important here is to have an analysis also, where am I holding? Where am I holding in regards to my midot? I know exactly who I am and what I am. I know if I need to work on my anger and I'm not working on it, then what am I coming to the Kadosh Baruch Hu and saying here, okay, very good, I did 3 tons of mitzvot, but I'm still angry all day long. And my poor wife and kids, I lash at them all day long. Or whatever. I'm just giving you one example out of many, trying to give you practical thoughts. A lot of people can be wonderful people, but when it comes to judging another person, they will slash a person within a second. That's not a good midah. That's actually a very bad midah. So I have to be aware, first of all, where am I holding, to start knowing, okay, how am I starting to make what's called seder b'balagan, order in the mess. And in order to do that, I need an aerial view of the situation, like a satellite view. Because if I'm focused on something, then I'm not going to be able to see everything around it. And I might be able to be focused on one good thing that I'm doing. Well, what do you want? I'm doing amazing here. But I'm neglecting all the bad around. To give you one example what I'm talking about, a person can be very diligent and go every day, 3 times a day to the minyan. And in his mind, he's doing amazing. I show up to the minyan 3 times a day. But when he's already in shul, he doesn't stop talking. So he's disturbing everybody. Then he talks Lashon Hara. Then he's judgmental because he said this and he said that. So, okay, so you did one good thing, but look at the broader picture. But in the good thing that you're doing, you're messing up a lot of things around. So one should say, okay, yes, I did amazing by showing up to the binyan every day. But maybe zip your mouth when you're there. Don't talk. You have tefillin on your head. You're disturbing other people. Why are you so judgmental towards the other people? Why are you slandering another person? So, yeah, you did one good thing, but around you, you are involved in many others. And it can be done in the same thing. A person can be very charitable and do a lot of chesed. But in the chesed comes a lot of geava. I did it. My respect, my honor, my name. So you did one good thing, but it's surrounded with a lot of schmutz, as they say. To make a long story short, the easiest way to get to the destination, you have to draw a map. And the first stage of the map is to make an analysis exactly where am I holding. And you can add your own columns. One of my custom columns that I add is one of the resolutions. I don't really like using the word resolutions, but that's how it sounds good in English. In Hebrew, you say, Hachlata Tova. How many hachlatot did I took on myself last year? Which one was the hachlatot? Now I work with notes, so I can pull out the notes from last year and I see what are the hachlatot, the resolutions that I took last year, and how many I actually did, how many I didn't do at all, how many I did in a very limping way, and to make some type of an analysis. Ooh, I had 50 good resolutions, 3 of them I was able to do amazing. 7 of them I forgot I even made, 13 of them I'm barely doing, so I can have some type of a picture. You want to make yourself as many as columns as possible that you have, okay, now I have a picture. Where am I holding? Where's my deficit? Where's my plus? Where am I good at? Where am I weak? And that's how you start your tshuva. Now you want to do it now on Rosh Chodesh Elul, because now is the time when the Kadosh Baruch Hu will allow you to, okay, let's spread all the pieces on the table. The most important thing is it has to be done with a lot of honesty. It has to be done with emet. Kadosh Baruch Hu only listens to emet. If you lie, it's not going to work, this game. This practice, this task will not work if you're trying to be sneaky here. You have to be 100% truth. Brutally honest. Yeah, brutally honest, yeah, because if not, you're lying to yourself. It's not going to work if you're not 100% honest. You have to do it by yourself, nobody around in the room. Nobody needs to look at your notes. And you have to say, let's cut to the chase, as they say. Let's put it on the table. I failed miserably here. I failed miserably here. Now don't take it just as yourself, as you're stepping on yourself. This is not for you to step on yourself. It's to realize, here I'm doing amazing, here I'm failing miserably. And again, it's not for you to put yourself down, it's to understand, what do I need to work on? What do I need to refine? Now I can tell you already that down the line, one of the jobs, one of the tasks we're going to do is to take the hachlatot. That's one thing you want to do, is all the resolutions that you wanted to do and you weren't able to do, and you clean it out. Let me just focus on 2 instead of 20. And even if you're able to achieve 2 out of a list, that's also huge. Better to do 1 and then to do many, to do 1 perfect than to do many not so perfect. You know, there's a saying in Hebrew, "Adif tzipor achat bayad mishtayim al etz." Better to have 1 bird on my hand than 2 on the tree. So same thing also with my spiritual work. I'd rather achieve 1 thing and do it right than to do 10 things that one day yes, one day no, and like in Hebrew we call it solea, limping. It's, you do it, but it's not 100%. So we have a long process of tshuva. The point is not to put too much information on the plate because it's going to be overwhelming. And when something is overwhelming, you're not productive. You're not going to be able to do anything. The best is to do 1 thing at a time. And what you want to achieve today, I suggest is you write it down. I suggest to write it on a paper and ink and not on a phone. Phone is a very strong klipa in there, and you start typing on the phone, then you get a text message, then you see a video, and then you see this, and then you see that. Besides, when you write it down with ink on a paper, you take something out from the imaginary world into the physical world. You bring it into the world of Asiyah by putting something on a piece of paper. There's a very strong power when you write something with ink on a paper. That's why I don't like the phones, the tablets. It's good for other things, but not for these type of things. Keep the phone out of it and write down. You can add any columns you want to add, but you want to make a broad map of your entire year back. We are going to make in the next few days also the plan for the next year. Now it's irrelevant, because if you didn't complete the year before, why are you making a resolution now for the next year? Let's wait with don't take achlatot yet, because you might have a few in the storage from last year that you didn't do. We'll find out how you want to narrow it down to the ones that from 20 that you want to achieve. If you focus on one and you do that right, better to focus on one and do it. But today, you want to make the first bird's eye view, the map from above, that you see everything from above, that it's easy to make an analysis. Okay, I see now what's going on. Here's my plus, here's my weak point, here's where I need to work on, this is where I am. And then again, like I told you, the trick here is 100% honesty. It can only be done with emet. If you're not 100% emet, it will not work. So this is the first part of the tshuva, is to realize where I was wrong. Most people on this day, this is another thing that you want to already take to digest and into account, is to realize I was wrong many times. Not to look at the times when you were right. This is the next step we're going to do. I'm giving a little, how do you call it? A preview for the next thing. Is to look at every situation that you were wrong, or every situation, and to see where were you wrong in it, not where were you were right in it. It's very easy to see where you were right, is to see where you were wrong. The only way of doing tshuva is when you see the emet of things. If you lie to yourself, you'll never do tshuva. If you lie to yourself, you're never going to be able to stand in front of the Kadosh Baruch Hu, because the Kadosh Baruch Hu says, who are you kidding? I'm the Kadosh Baruch Hu. I know what you did. I know what you think. I know what you're feeling. So we have a very, very, very powerful month in front of us. We don't want to waste our time. I spoke about it yesterday, how precious our time is. Don't let this month go between your fingers. You don't have to put 5 hours a day focus on tshuva. Even if you practice 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes of some type of a meditation of what I need to do today. Needless to say that this month you have to increase in Torah and mitzvot, you have to increase in prayer, you have to increase in tzedakah. Everything that you regularly do, you have to increase. Mainly with kindness and with prayer and with tzedakah. But we want to take this month really, really serious. We want to really do it once and for all. Just this morning somebody told me, I feel the energy in the universe is kind of closing in. And I told him, yes, this is what's called Savasana. This is the time. Now the Kadosh Baruch Hu is already tightening the rope so much that everybody can feel it around them. So he told me, this individual, isn't it time that we do something? I said, of course it's time we do something. We should have done that 20 years ago. What do you mean, of course, time to do something? But if we have to take matters into our hands, what are you waiting for, a barrage of missiles to come here to take matters into our hands? We should take matters into our hands to not only for my own sake, is for the sake of Klal Israel, the entire world. And most important to remember is, if you, in this column, by the way, one of the columns that you want to make, I like looking in the column, making one of the columns, how many times I was disappointed in this year and how many times I was very happy and excited when I achieved something. And you have to use a little bit your memory. A lot of people, they get a lot disappointed. I wanted this to happen, it didn't happen. I wanted to find my other half, I didn't find it. I wanted to buy a house, I couldn't find it. I wanted to do this, I couldn't. And there's a lot of disappointments. And then we can make the same thing, the list. I was planning on buying a house, Baruch Hashem, it worked out. I was planning to find a good job, I found it. I was planning to get married, I found it. But to see how the Kadosh Baruch Hu is treating you, because a lot of the things that you think that are bad in your life, they're actually a blessing. You just see it bad. You just see it as a klala. We spoke about it yesterday in Parashat Re. The Kadosh Baruch Hu says, Re, hayom ani noten lifnechem et haklala, et habracha v'et haklala. It doesn't mean that if something bad in your life, it means it's a curse. Maybe you seeing it as chas v'shalom, a curse. So you want to take the time to make some type of a plan, an overview. How did the last year look like? Imagine now you have a talk show, or like a TV show or a radio show, and they usually do it in Israel at the end of the non-Jewish calendar. They do it in the end of December. A summary of the past year. Maybe they do it in other countries. In Israel, they always do it. who did this, who did that, who won, who lost, and you have to do the same thing. How was my year? How was Tafshin Ayin Tet? What did I achieve? What did I want to achieve? It didn't work out. What did I want to achieve and it worked out? What was my dreams? What I wanted to do, it didn't work out. How many times I failed? Where did I fail? How many times I was able to be successful in what I planned for myself? Then you have a big picture, and you might be very surprised. You say, you know what? I actually did pretty well on Tafshin Ayin Tet. Now let me see how I'm doing fine-tuning here. I'm not saying chas v'shalom. People think that, oh my God, I'm now going to be barbecued in Gehenom, how many sins I did. You might be very surprised and look at the list and say, you know what, I did pretty amazing this Tafshin Ayin Tet. Now let me take this momentum and go into the next year double power. Doesn't mean that the list is bad, by the way. It all depends how you're looking at the situation. You don't only have to count losses, you also have to count victories. To gain one victory will take 50 losses. But nevertheless, that gives you a picture of what am I standing in front of. And that way I'm able to start my process of tshuva, real tshuva. Bezrat Hashem, one step after the other, we can reach to the last day of Elul, that I know that I did check marks on all my lists and finalized everything. Bezrat Hashem, start the next coming year, clean slate, real tshuva, and Bezrat Hashem be blessed with a great year full of happiness, real true happiness, simcha amitit shebalev, and real nachat, menuchat hanefesh, parnasa, yirat shamayim, all these good things. Not necessarily money. Money is not always a bracha. Money is just a tool to live in this world. And the bracha is the real serenity in my soul. My menuchat hanefesh, that I'm calm and I'm happy, even though things are bad in my life, but I'm still, it's all bracha from the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Kadosh Baruch Hu is constantly, V'erecha Hashem b'chol asher ta'aseh. Kadosh Baruch Hu bless you with everything that you do. You need to choose if you see it as a blessing, or chas v'shalom, if you see it as a curse. And Bezrat Hashem, the bigger picture that we need to see is how can we do tshuva that will affect the entire nation of Israel and the entire world. Because the nation of Israel is yearning already for the tshuva of Am Yisrael. So sometimes it's depending on a very small group of people. And you might be the one that is responsible for thousands of other people with our tshuva. Bezrat Hashem. So all that's left is to wish us a successful month, a prosperous month with a lot of success in everything that we decide to do. Hashem should bless us to be able to do real tshuva, tshuva from love, and to be able to be blessed with an amazing coming year, and with the ultimate blessing that we should see with our own eyes already, the coming of Mashiach, Be'ezrat Hashem. Have a beautiful, beautiful Chodesh. רבי חנניה בן הקשה אומר, רצה הקדוש ברוך הוא לזכות את ישראל, לפיכך הרבה להם תורה ומצוות שנעבר, אדוני חפץ למען צדקו יגדיל תורה וידיר.